In the early hours of the 28th of June 2025, just after 3 a.m., two shooters stormed into a shack in Gugulethu's Kanana area and opened fire on a group of 7 people gathered in the kitchen. It was brutal. All 7 were taken out on the spot. And in the next room, 3 others were asleep. They woke up to a sound of shots, but fear gripped them so tightly they didn't even scream. Frozen in terror, they stayed silent, believing they might be next, and that silence saved their lives. When police and emergency services arrived, the scene was horrific. Bodies were scattered across the shack, 11 shells still laying around. Neighbors watched from a distance, too scared to speak, cause fear had the neighborhood on a chokehold. Just a day later, 2 more people were laid down in a house in Nyanga. Again, no one dared to speak, afraid the shooters might be nearby, watching for anyone who's snitching. Then there were media reports that the 2 shootings, the one in Gugs and this one in Nyanga, they might be connected. But for now, the links remain unclear. Soon after the Gugulethu hit, images of 2 possible suspects began circulating online, and one of them, known as Fire, reportedly he turned himself in after learning that the NIU might be looking for him, especially since other suspects had recently been laid down by the police. Now the second person of interest is Loyiso Matinisi, who as of this recording is still on the run. Then came another shocking twist. Fire, the same man now linked to the Gugulethu hits, had recently been released from police custody. He had been arrested for a hit on a well-known Gugulethu CPF or Community Policing Forum leader known as Goofy. Now Goofy wasn't just a CPF member, she was known for being fearless, strict and fully committed to cleaning up the streets of Gugs. But that dedication may have cost her life. It's believed that Goofy, whose real name was Dinginto, had received death threats before she was taken out. Now in the early hours of 10 December 2023, just after 2:40 a.m., a shooter broke into a home in NY 110 in Gugs. Gunshots erupted inside the house. Her sister, who was sleeping in the backyard room, rushed inside, hoping it wasn't Goofy. But there she was, lying in a pool of blood near the bathroom. Nobody knew who did it or why. Then just 3 days later, after the hit, a 50,000 rands reward was offered to anyone who can help identify the shooters. Now it didn't take long for investigators to zero in on the suspects. It was Fire. Realizing he was now a wanted man, Fire fled to the Eastern Cape. He was caught while passing through Graaff-Reinet in a bus and taken into custody. Then it was revealed that Fire had a dark past. In 2018, he was sentenced to 7 years in prison for housebreaking and an attempted hit. He also had several other serious cases pending at the time. Fire spent a short time behind bars while attending court for Goofy's hit, but then another bombshell dropped. The key witness in that case turned up dead. With no one left to testify, the case fell apart. Suddenly, Fire was a free man. Not long after his release, the streets were talking that Fire was back in the hood, extorting local businesses, instilling fear and showing no remorse. Then the Kanana massacre in Gugulethu shook the community, and Fire's name started ringing bells again.
This small backyard dwelling could go. When one stormed in, all were trapped. The crime scene is explicit and cannot be shown. Blood has pooled, lying thick on the floor, and there is thick splatter on the walls, windows and curtains. This latest incident brings the number of people killed in mass murders on the Capeflats to 13. The SAPS says it's too early to know the motive, but mass murders in the past several years have been linked to certain issues.
As his pictures began spreading all over social media, Fire knew exactly what was coming. He feared he'd become another headline. Suspect shot at police and officers returned fire. Knowing how the NIU operated, he decided not to take any chance. He handed himself over to the police. Now, according to the police charge sheet, The man, now identified as Lungile Madolo, allegedly Fire's real name, is facing horrifying charges. He stands accused of taking out Gugulethu Makhongo, Sianda Tongana, Afezile Tongana, Hlomla Tongana, Somile Vitela, Luyolo Zoneli, Loyiso Jezile, plus Pumlane Zoya. All 8 victims were men and all were laid down with a hammer. Now, during court proceedings, the state prosecutor told the magistrate that while there were media applications to film and photograph the accused, he opposed showing Madolo's face publicly, since the identity parade still needed to be done. Now, the identity parade was scheduled for 9 May 2025. The accused faces 8 counts of hits, 1 count of possession of an unlicensed hammer, caliber still unknown, and another of possession of ammunition. Gun violence in the Capeflats is spiraling out of control. The same weekend, the Kanana massacre shook Gugulethu. At least 19 people were shot across the Capeflats in what appears to be a brutal surge in gang violence. Now, in Mitchell's Plain, gang members were busting their hammers in several areas: Beacon Valley, East Ridge, Tafelberg, and Town Centre. Then in total, 5 people were laid down and 7 more were injured in a series of shootings. Now, in one chilling incident, 5 people were shot inside a tuck shop in Beacon Valley. 2 of them didn't make it. Now, as police and paramedics were still attending to the victims, gunfire erupted again in another tech shop just around the corner. Now, 4 more were laid down and 1 person didn't make it. According to reports, the Beacon Valley shootings weren't just random gang violence, they were personal. Allegedly, the bloodshed started over family feud between in-laws who belong to rival gangs. Now, word on the streets is that the men involved might be married to sisters, and the beef exploded into a full-blown gang war. Now, the shootings of the 5 men inside the tuck shop is believed to be directly connected to that feud. Now, police have since arrested 14 suspects aged 20 and 39 in connection with the hits and the attempted hits. Now, the shootings are believed to be part of a larger ongoing turf war tearing through the Capeflats.
General, I want to understand the cause of these shootings. Have police gotten to the root cause of it?
What we have so far gathered is that this has started as a fight between the in-laws. In-laws in the sense that these 2 gangsters, they are married to siblings from one family, but the one gangster was fighting with the son of the other one, and which then became an issue that ended up escalating for the deaths of the 5 and so many 7 that were critically injured.